Happy Sunday, everybody. Hello to the replay warriors. Hello to all of you wonderful folks. So glad that you're able to make it here. I'm just going to wait a moment for people to load in while I grab yarn, of course. Trying to grab colors that would look nice together. Is this good under the camera? Can we see the stitches? Let's check this out and see. Maybe, just maybe this will work. Let's see. Okay, I think this is it. I think we have a winner chicken dinner here. Yes. If the cream, let me see a second. All right. Can we see the stitches here? I think so. I think we're good here. Hello, Kim. Welcome in. Maybe. I'm trying to debate. Hi. Hello, Robin. Welcome in. Hi, Denise and Daisy and Pen and Jan and Lorene. Hi, guys. Welcome in. I'm trying to figure out what color would be best for our Crochet with JTYA. Happy Sunday to all of you wonderful folks. Hello and good morning. So for today, everyone, we are going to crochet a circle. So how do we crochet a circle and keep it flat? That's the task for today. And so hopefully this is of interest to you. But to begin, I'm trying to figure out what the best color to start with is. I'm thinking purple as well, Robin. We'll start with purple, and we'll change if and as necessary. I think that would be a great color. So let's do that. And I'm using a 5.5 US letter I hook. So yeah. Good morning, Samantha Stewart. Good morning, Angela and Connie. Hello to you. Hi, Deborah Dow. How are you? Happy Sunday. And Charlene, hello to you. Good morning. So again, how do we crochet a flat circle and just keep going and keep going and keep going? So for those of us who make beanies, we kind of know how to make the crown, but what do we do when we keep going? The quick answer to that is we keep those increases going the same way we've been doing, except on a larger scale. But for those who are new to crochet, how do we do it? How do we start? And so that's kind of what the goal is for today. So again, if this is of interest to you, please sit back and enjoy what we're doing. Okay, and I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see all the stitches nice and close. Hopefully not too close. No manicures here. Just hands. All right, so good morning, Esther and Victoria. Hello to you. Just for color and continuity, I kind of want to have some color in the shot there. So to begin, we do a slip knot. As always, there's many different ways that you can do this. This is just one of many ways. You create a slip knot on your hook. Now you can do the magic circle or you can do the chain 4 method. That's the method that I prefer, the chain 4 method. Thank you so much, Andrew, for the gifted membership, and congratulations, Diana S., for the gifted membership. I appreciate you, Andrew. So for today, let's begin with a chain 4. So we're going to chain 4. This is how we begin our circle. And then from here, we're going to take the tip of our crochet hook and we're going to insert it into this very first of the 4 chains. We're going to go right into that chain. We're going to draw a loop and we're going to slip to close without dropping the hook. All right. From here, we're just going to gently tug on our working yarn. We're going to take that tail and pinch it against the chain, and we're going to gently pull apart. And as you can see, we have a magic circle there. It's a little one. It's right there. Little magic circle. And from here, we're going to, we're going to chain 2. The chain 2 will not count as a stitch. Now, there's 2 different ways that you can do this. You can chain 3 and have it count as a stitch, or you can just chain 2 and pretend it doesn't exist. We're going to do it that way because it's the easiest way, okay? So from here for round number 1, I like to do 12 stitches, regardless of what it is, 12. I think about it like hands on a clock. So we have our numbers on a clock. So we have 12 numbers on the clock, only 2 hands, but 12 numbers. And so 12 stitches, 12 numbers. So let's go ahead and do that. For the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to do 12 double crochets. So if you've done 1 double crochet, you know how to do it. But for those who are new to crochet, to do a double, what you want to do, and we're going to continue to hold on to this chain right here. We're going to yarn over. We're going to go into our chain circle, draw up a loop. We have 3 loops on the hook. We're going to yarn over, go through 2. Yarn over, go through 2. That's a double crochet. And we want 12 of those. So we're just going to go nice and easy, 12 double crochets with the US letter I. This is a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook from Clover & More. My go-to is a 6, but I felt adventurous today. I felt, why not go with a 5.5? So far, let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 stitches. We don't count the chain 2, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6 stitches, so we need to do 6 more double crochets to go all the way around our circle here. And I like to hold on to this chain as long as possible. So we're just going to continue doing that for a total of 12 double crochets. A huge hi, hello, and welcome to everyone in the chat. Thank you so much for coming today. We're learning how to make a circle, like a large circle, or the recipe for making your circle as large as you want it to go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we need to do 2 more double crochets. 1 and 2. Let's go ahead and do that. 1 and 2. This yarn is splitty. Let's do this last double. Like so, like that. All right. So 12 double crochets. I'm just going to grab my pointer, and by that I mean a smaller crochet hook. Okay, so let me grab the tip here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let me double check here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So we have 12 double crochets here. What we're going to do is we're going to take this loop right here and we're going to go into the stitch. The chain 2 does not count as a stitch, as we mentioned. We're going to go from here into here. We need to pick up that stitch and go in and slip to close. Okay, and that's how we close out the round. So I'm going to leave this in view. So we're going to go right into that stitch, draw up a loop, and slip to close. And so that concludes round number 1. So round number 1, we're not doing any increases. You're setting the base for your circle. Okay, so regardless of how many stitches you have in your first row, you need to make sure that that is your base number. So what I mean by that is, if you have 10 stitches in your round as opposed to 12, you're going to be increasing based off of the number that you have here. So for round 1, it's your base round. Round number 2, twins in a stitch. For every single stitch that you see in your circle, you're always going to place 2 stitches in every stitch all the way around. So I have 12. So now 12 becomes 24. Always, regardless of how many stitches you have in your circle, it could be 10, 12, 15, doesn't matter. Always, it's 2 stitches in every stitch for round number 2. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and do that for round number 2. Hello, Bilal. Welcome in. And Southern, hello to you. And Annie Loves Crochet, hello to you. And Rach, hi. And Donna, thank you all so much for being here today. This is on my list of Crochet with JTYA tutorials. This is by request, so I do take requests. If you're interested in learning something new, please make sure that you send an email to teamjtya@gmail.com and we will put it on the list. All right, so this is a result of your request. So from here, what we're going to do is chain 2. And as always, guys, the chain 2 does not count as a stitch for the circle, okay? Good morning, Wendy. Super happy to have you here this morning. So from here, hello, Katrina. Welcome in. And so we're going to go right into the stitch we just came out of. Let me grab my hook, my pointer. We're going to start right here. We're going to place 2 stitches here and in every stitch all the way around. And what we want to make sure that we do is we pick up the front loop and the back loop, okay? Yes, Southern, this is definitely a recorded tutorial. You can always come back for the replay and watch this as many times as you want, okay? Katrina, thank you so much for your support. She's been an official for 7 months. Love that. So we're going to begin right here. We're going to go right into this stitch right here with 2 double crochets, because remember, the chain 2 does not count as a stitch. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. Yarn over, go in. Let's do a double crochet, and let's do 1 more right into that stitch. And we're going to do the same thing all the way around for a total of 24 stitches. And it's 24 stitches because my first round was 12. So we're doubling it up. If your round 1 had 10 stitches, round number 2 would have 20. This is 12, so that's 24. Okay? So just putting that out there so that you guys know. Round number 2, you're just doubling it up. So I'm just going to go all the way around here, placing 2 double crochets in each and every stitch. And as long as your increases are done correctly, your project will always lay flat. So there is a cadence to this that I will be showing you as soon as we get into the other rounds. Now, it does take a moment to get around in our circle, but have no fear. We will make it work. Now, I will tell you that every now and then it will cup up like this. When it cups up, it's your tension. Just mind your tension, make sure that it's consistent as you work your circle, okay? So we're placing 2 stitches in every stitch. Every stitch gets an upstairs neighbor of 2 stitches. And as long as you do that, it will be double the stitch count of the previous round, okay? So I'm just placing 2 double crochets in every stitch. And I want to show you this. This is very important. Now, you can clearly see there's a stitch here, and then you see a smaller pair. You see this right here, okay? That is not what you're looking for. This right here is going to always be your last stitch. So you have a bigger set of front loop and back loop and a smaller set of front loop, back loop. That smaller set is not considered a stitch, all right? It never will be. Just think of it as the downstairs neighbor to the chain 2, all right? That doesn't count as a stitch. So always stop just before there. So right there is where you're going to place your last 2 stitches. Good afternoon, Carol. Thank you so much for being here today. So now that we have our 24 stitches, we need to close the round. So like we've done previously, we're going to take our crochet hook and we're going to insert it into the head of the first stitch, which is right here. And we want to make sure that we pick up that front loop and the back loop, okay? So we're going to take this hook and put it right in here. We're going to draw that loop through and we're going to slip to close. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go in, let's draw that loop, and let's slip to close. And as long as your math is mathing and your tension is consistent, your circle will always lay flat, okay? So now as far as the math is concerned, round 1 is 12 stitches. Round number 2, 24 stitches. Round 3, 36 stitches, okay? And regardless of the size of your circle, So if you started with 12, it's going to be 12, 24, 36. If it's 10, so 10, 20, 30. All right, so now we're going to 36 stitches. And the way that I do this may not be something you're familiar with. So let me just help you understand my thought process here. So if you put one stitch into a space, if you're working one stitch in that space, I call that a standalone stitch. You're putting just one stitch all by itself. It's a standalone. If I place two stitches inside of a stitch, that's twins in a stitch. That's two of the same stitch in that space right there. Okay? So when I refer to twins in a stitch and standalones, that means one stitch into there is a standalone and two is twins in a stitch. So the cadence for round number 3 is as follows. We begin with chaining 2, and the chain 2 will never count as a stitch. From here, we're going to go right into the stitch we just came out of, which is right here. We don't skip over that. We have to go in there each and every time. All right? We will always place one stitch right inside that stitch. So we're going to go ahead and place a double crochet right in there. That's a standalone stitch. From here, we're going to go next door meaning the next stitch, and we're going to place twins in a stitch. So 2 double crochets in the next stitch, twins in a stitch, 1 and 2. And so for round number 3, it's going to be standalone, twins in a stitch, standalone, and then twins in a stitch, 2 double crochets in the next stitch. Okay? And that's the cadence, that's the pattern for round number 3, and that's going to be the case regardless of your start stitch. So again, if your start had only 10 and not 12, it's 10, 20, 30, but standalone, twins in a stitch, standalone, twins in a stitch, and that's how you do your increases for the 3rd round. Okay? Hello, Kimberly R, and hello to everyone else. So no, for a circle, we are not turning our work. We keep everything on the same side. So for round number 3, it's a standalone and then twins in a stitch, 2 double crochets in the same stitch. And you're going to do that all the way around. And as long as you follow this, your stitch count will be exactly what it needs to be. This is twins in a stitch, and then a standalone, and you're just alternating. Twins in a stitch, and then a standalone. Twins in a stitch, and standalone. And we're going to do this all the way around until we get to the beginning again. Hi, Cindy Lou. Good morning. Thank you for the thumbie. I appreciate you. Thank you. And a good morning and hello to everyone else in the chat. Thank you so much for popping in here with me this morning on Crochet with JTYA. We are crocheting a circle, and I'm showing you the recipe on how to continue a circle and keep it flat the entire time. Okay? You can make this using cotton, yes. You can use any hook you want. You can use any yarn. Just follow the recommended hook size for the yarn of your choice. So whatever the ball band says, follow that first. And yeah, this recipe is the same regardless of the yarn choice. Just mind your tension, make sure it stays consistent. And I'm just doing twins in a stitch and standalones all the way around. And the very last stitch should always be twins in a stitch. Now, as I mentioned, let me grab my pointer. We have a stitch, and then we have this little mini version of a stitch. That's not a stitch, guys. Don't go in there. You're only going to go into that stitch right there. Okay? That is the join from the last round. you have that join and then the chain 2. So we have one standalone right here. So then the next stitch is going to be twins in a stitch. We're going to go right on in here, and we're going to place 2 double crochets in that very last stitch. So what I'm making here is a circle. You can take this pattern and make a happy face. You can make a doily, but this is from a viewer request. You guys, one of you guys requested this. I put it on my list, and it's how do I make a circle and keep it flat? Well, here you go. So just to recap for those who are coming in, round number 1 was 12 double crochets. Round number 2, 24 double crochets. Round number 3, 36. Okay. Every single round, regardless of how big your project is, will always increase by the number of stitches that you have in the middle here. Always. That's the formula. Every round needs to increase by the amount of stitches you have in the middle. So whether you're on round 25 or 30, it has to increase by 12 stitches each and every time. Okay? So what we need to do here is join to the first stitch of the round. So we put twins in a stitch here. So this little space right here, right there, that's not a stitch. That's just a slip to the join. So we need to close the round now. So from here, what we need to do is go into the first stitch, which is right here. I'll bring it close so you can see. We need to go into that stitch, draw the loop, and slip to close. Okay? So we need to go right into that stitch. We need to draw that loop, and we need to slip to close. And that concludes round number 3. Thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. I definitely appreciate that. Thank you. So for round number 4, again, like I just said, we need to make sure that we increase by the amount of stitches you have in the middle. That middle round has 12. So 12, 24, 36, now 48. Okay? So 48 stitches for round number 4. And let's look at the recipe for round number 3. So for round number 3, we had one standalone, twins in a stitch, standalone, twins in a stitch. For round 4, it's going to be standalone, standalone, twins in a stitch, standalone, standalone, twins in a stitch. So you're increasing your standalones. So for round 3, it was just one standalone. For the next round, it's now 2 standalones. But first we need to chain 2 because we need to increase to the height of the stitch, right? Or get it up there, right? So for round number 4, we're going to go right into the stitch we just came out of. I've shown you this before, but just for good measure, we're going to go right into that stitch right there with our first stitch. And as I mentioned before, the very first stitch will always be a standalone. You're never going to start with twins in a stitch, okay? Always a standalone when you're making a circle. So we need to place 1 double crochet in the stitch we just came out of. There's the first one. Thank you so much, Shay. I appreciate the super sticker. That's amazing. Thank you, thank you. So we have 1 standalone from round number 3. Round number 4, it's going to be 2 standalones. So we're going to go right next door to this stitch here, and we're going to place another double crochet, okay? So standalone, standalone, and now twins in a stitch. This very next stitch will receive 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. Thank you, thank you. So standalone, standalone, twins in a stitch. And we're just going to repeat that all the way around, okay? So let's go next door here. Standalone, standalone, twins in a stitch. We have 1 and 2. And that's the repeat. Standalone, standalone, twins in a stitch. So we have 1 and 2. And if you notice, as long as you increase the way you should, it's going to lay completely flat. It's going to lay flat. Now, minus the curling. See how it's curling up a little bit? That's because we're staying on the same side. As long as we stay on the same side, there's going to be that slight little curl up, you know, and that's fine. But we just want to make sure the math is mathing, okay? Shay, that was really awesome of you, by the way. Thank you. I appreciate that. Hi, Rhonda. Welcome in. Okay. So again, I'm just going to repeat this all the way around very quickly. 1, which is a standalone. So 2 stitches by themselves in their own. And then this next one here will be twins in a stitch, 2 double crochets in the same space. And when recording a tutorial right now is probably where I would stop it and then like crochet off camera really quick, but we're live, so it's going to require a little bit of patience from both of us, you know, but we'll get through it. It'll be fine. So standalone, twins in a stitch. And once you get this recipe, I mean, you can make your circle as big as you want. The possibilities are endless. For those of you guys making circular donation blankets, yeah, you can literally change colors as often as you want, but typically 40 inches, you're measuring from this side to this side for donations, okay? So we have twins in a stitch there. So now we're going to do just the same thing. Standalone, twins in a stitch. 2 double crochets in the same space. Like so, like that. We're going to get there. I promise. We'll get there. Standalone, twins in a stitch. And again, the recipe is you're increasing 1 standalone in between the twins. That's the secret. All right, and I'll show you what I mean in just a moment. Standalone, twins in a stitch. Standalone, twins in a stitch. It has a little jingle to it. It helps me remember. Standalone, twins in a stitch. Standalone, twins in a stitch. 2 double crochets. We should have, if your count is right, you should have 3 stitches left. And it's going to be standalone, and then the last stitch of the round, always and forever, will be twins in a stitch, always. All right, so let's recap the round. So for round number 4, we have 48 stitches. So 12, 24, 36, 48. And the recipe for round 4 is standalone, twins in a stitch. Standalone, twins in a stitch. And that's the jingle. Whereas for round number 3, which is right here, it was standalone, twins in a stitch. Standalone, twins in a stitch. And you're increasing your standalones. So for this round here, and if you ever get lost, just count your standalones before your twins. So if this row here has 10, right, let's just say, if this round here has 10 standalones, that means this next round will have 11 standalones before your twins. And that's how you do your increases, guys. It's super, super easy, okay? You're only increasing your standalones by 1 in between your twins. And as long as you do that, I mean, your blanket will be perfectly flat and circular each and every time. Okay, every row you're increasing. So for instance, let's say this round that we're going on right here, and that's another thing. Whatever you're doing, don't pay attention to where your stitches are here. Keep the recipe in your mind. So just because you have twins here, it doesn't mean you're going to start with twins right here in this stitch, okay? What I mean by that is for round number 5, you're going to increase by 12 stitches, right? Because every round you increase by 12. 12, 24, 36, 48. We're going to increase by 12 once more. So that means for round 5, we're going to need 60 stitches. That means to get that 12 extra stitches, we need to increase by 12 by going to, let's see, we have 2 standalones, twins in a stitch. So now we're going to do 3 standalones and then twins in a stitch. So it's going to be standalone, twins in a stitch. Standalone, twins in a stitch. You can use stitch markers, yes. If it helps you to use, I mean, stitch markers are your friends, but here is where you do your increases, okay? Let's say you have 50 stitches. You're making a huge circle, okay? Where do you put your increases, to prevent you from having to count? Who wants to count an entire blanket? I don't know about you, but I don't want to count an entire blanket. I don't have time for that. We don't have time for that. We're too busy, right? So I'm going to show you exactly where you're supposed to place your increases so that your blanket stays flat, all right? And it's foolproof. It works each and every time, okay? So here are my stitch markers, and I'm going to show you where you're supposed to do your increases, all right? Little secret. So if you look at the previous round, look for your twins, okay? You have twins there, you have twins there, okay? So look at your twins, and on the far side of your twins, you're going to place a stitch marker. So let me just show you with the pointer. So this is a standalone, this is a standalone, this is twins. You're placing the stitch marker in the second stitch of your twins. That's where you're doing your increases each and every time for every single round that you work. Look for your twins, and you're always going to place your increase in the second stitch, not the first one, the second one. Every single time, regardless of how big your circle is. Look for your twins, and that's where you're going to place your stitch markers. It's kind of hard to see because there's lots of stitches, so I'm going to pull it apart and show you. There's twins right there. We're going to go right into that stitch right there. That is where you're placing your increases each and every time, and it's fail-safe. You won't have to count in between. Just look for your twins and place your increase in that second stitch, okay? And you won't have to count your rounds. You can if you want, but as long as you're placing your increase in that second stitch. And see, I'm a left-handed crocheter, so I'm going clockwise. If you're a right-handed crocheter, you're going this way. So this stitch right here for the right-handed crocheters, okay? You're working in this direction. For the righties, you're actually looking for your twins. There you go, there's twins. You're gonna put your increase, this is for right-handed crocheters, you're gonna place your increase right there, and you're gonna place your increase right there, and right there, okay? Each and every time, and your increases will make your project lay completely flat. Right there, and right there. Okay, so as long as you follow this recipe, your project will lay completely flat, okay? You don't have to count every single stitch as long as you follow that recipe. Yes. So, does anybody have any questions with that tip or trick? I hope it's helpful. I hope that it works for you guys. I think that as long as you follow that recipe, circular blankets, circular projects will be your best friend. You can make hot plates. This is the beginning of a beanie if you want. You can stop at round 5. I think someone mentioned that. Arcbud, I think, mentioned that. Rosebud. Same concept for a beanie, but stopping at 60. Perfect. Yep. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, great. All right. So I want to talk about stitch heights. Some of you guys, may or may not have questions about this. So I'm going to sit this to the side. We're going to sit purple to the side. We're going to bring aqua in, or turquoise. So I want to talk about stitch heights because I mentioned this on another platform and it was really helpful to a lot of people. And I think it's going to definitely help you guys understand the importance of stitch heights. So I'm going to go ahead and create a slip knot on my hook. And I'm going to chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And from here, the age-old question, I want to do double crochets. Which chain do I go into? Now, the question lends itself to wonder, am I counting my chains as a stitch or am I not counting my chains as a stitch? Let's just say we are. Let's say we're counting chains as stitches in this project. That means if I'm making a double crochet, I need to go into the 4th chain from the hook. And the reason for that is because the chain 3 is now counted as a double crochet. If I were making a project with a half double crochet, I would go into the 3rd chain from the hook because the stitch height of a half double crochet is 2 chains. If I am doing single crochet and I'm counting the chain as a stitch, it would be the 2nd chain from the hook. Okay? So, just want you guys to know, if you are counting the stitch with chains or counting chains as a stitch, you need to make sure that your chain height is appropriate for your project. So for double crochet, it's going to be the 4th chain from the hook. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to yarn over and we're going to go into the 4th chain from the hook because the first 3 counts as a double crochet. So let's go in. And I'm going to go all the way across. All right. So I'm just going to hurry up and put my stitches in here. We're going to go into the top loop of the chain. And there's tons of ways of doing this, guys. You can go into the back bump if you want. It's a matter of preference at this point. But for the purposes of this tutorial, I want to teach you about stitch heights, not so much about beginning your project with the chain. So we're just going to go into these chains here and insert double crochets in each and every stitch until the very end. All right. Without slipping, of course. The luxury of live crochet. Okay, so now that we're at the end of the row, from here, what we're going to do for double crochet is to chain 3. All right, so let's go ahead and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now, the other question is, if I'm counting this as a stitch, what stitch do I go into to start the next row? So first, let's turn over. So if you're counting the chain as a stitch, you do not go into this first stitch. You do not do it because this stitch right here, or this space right here, is reserved for your chains. If you place a stitch inside this stitch, you're now doing an increase and your work will taper out. You don't want that. So to keep your work completely flat, you're going to go to the next stitch. You're going to go next door here, right here with your next stitch, because this space here has been reserved for your chains. Okay? So let's go ahead and jump into that 2nd stitch right here with our double crochet. And I'm just going to go across all the way, all the way. All right. Absolutely, Anne. Absolutely. I'm glad that I'm able to help. Now, because we are counting the chains as stitches, you will always end your row by going into the very first chain after the stitch. So let me grab my pointer. So you have a chain 3 here. So from here, you're going to go into this very first chain right there. That is the end of your row when you're counting the chains as a stitch, okay? So let's go ahead and yarn over and let's go right on into that first chain right here after your stitch. We're going to go right in there and we're going to do a double crochet. And as you can see, beautiful straight edge, okay? Once again, you're going to make sure to go into that very first chain after your stitch, okay? And I do want to let you guys know, I am very inclusive when it comes to crochet. So if there's ever something that you don't understand, please make sure to reach out to me. I am available. We have a team of people to be able to assist you as well. It's teamjtya@gmail.com. I'll be more than happy to help you, okay? So just for good measure, let's go across one more time. We have a more prominent chain system right here. So let's make sure to go into there. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to chain 3 because I am counting this as a stitch, right? We're going to turn our work and we're not going to go into this first stitch because that is reserved for the upstairs stitch right there. Okay, we're going to go next door here and we're going to begin right here and we're going to go with a double and go all the way down with a double crochet. Let's go down. Let me grab some more yarn here. Perfect. So let's just continue on with this until we get to the last stitch, which is right here. This is the last stitch, the last actual stitch with the downstairs neighbor of a stitch. And so here, once again, we have chains. So this is counted as a stitch. We need to go into this first chain after the stitch. Yarn over, go right into that chain and to finish the row, okay? Now, a lot of people that I've seen in years past, they would count this as a stitch, but instead of going into the chain, they would just go right into the loop. They would go like this. I do not recommend that you do that, and you can see why. You've created an eyelet there. The point of it is to not have that. So to prevent that from happening, you want to go into the last chain, not the loop. Doing that pulls your work out. You don't want that, okay? That's not the point of it. The point of it is stitch counts need to be accurate. So to keep your work accurate, you're going to insert right into that first chain after the loop with a double crochet. And it's pulled out because I went into a space that it shouldn't have gone in, but that's how it should look right there. Okay, nice and flush. Now, the question now becomes, what if I don't want to count my chains as a stitch? What do we do then? Okay, so let's just say you don't want to include this as a stitch. There's a few different ways that you can go about this. You can do stacked single crochets, or you can decrease your chains by 1. So I'll show you both methods, okay? The first method here is going to be, we decrease the chain by 1. So to count it as a stitch, the stitch height of a double is 3 chains. If you're not counting it as a stitch, you decrease by 1, which means we chain 2. We're going to turn our work, and now we're going to go into this very first space because that's not counted as a stitch. We need a stitch here. So we need to go right into that stitch with a double crochet each and every time. And if you choose this method, be consistent. You don't want to change up mid-project because now you have this unusual lump here. All right, so just be mindful of that. If you're not including your chains as a stitch, you will have a little bit of a scallop on your sides by using this method. And I have used this method many times. It just depends on the project. If it lends itself to look nice to have that border there, you're creating that nonchalant scalloped border. It works very nice that way. So let's say you want a straight edge. We're going to do stacked single crochets. So I'm going to show you how to do that. All right, so we're at the end of the row here, and we need to move on to the next row. Now there's many ways of doing stacked singles. The way that I do it is I chain 1 to just get a fresh loop on my hook, and now I'm going to come down here. So I'm going to go into these 2 loops right here at the top of my stitch right here. These 2 loops, if my pointer will get in there, let me use the other end. I need to go into these 2 stitches, or these 2 loops right here, if my hook will allow me to. There you go. I need to go right there. All right. So I'm going to go right into those 2 loops. I'm going to draw a loop, and I'm going to do a single crochet just like that. All right. So traditionally, you would continue doing this depending on the height of your stitch. So if you have a treble, it's going to be 3 times, so on and so forth. So from here, you can just turn your work and go right into the next stitch. There's tons of ways of doing this. Let me go back to this loop here. Another way, um, I like to do it this way. I just like to go right in, do the single, and turn the work. Hold on. It's not my go-to, but here we go. And you want to make sure that you're turning it the correct way. Now see, if you don't stack it high enough, it's going to show. It's going to look shorter than the other stitch. So don't be afraid to add to it. Okay. So let's go back in here. So we're going to chain 1, go into these 2 loops right here, draw that loop, and turn the work. And we're going to go right next door here. This first stitch is for all of this. We're just going to go right into that second part right there with a double crochet. And look how straight the edge is. It's perfectly straight. Okay. So let's recap and do that again. Just want to make sure that we're all there. You have all the methods. So if you're going to stack singles for a flatter edge, you're going to chain 1. You're going to go into these 2 loops right here in between my thumbs. You're going to go right into those 2 loops, just like that. Draw a loop, yarn over, and pull through. That's 1. For a double, you need to do that twice. Chain 1 and go into these 2 loops right here. Draw the loop. So now you have 2. You can see them, 1 and 2. 2 for a double, 3 for a treble, so on and so forth. From here, just turn over. Okay, you're just turning the page, and you want that flat edge. And if you turn it the wrong way, it's going to show. It's going to look twisted. That's not how you want it to look. Just turn it the right way, and it's going to look nice and flat. And from here, we're going to go right into the second stitch right here with a double crochet. And you have a very flat edge right here. Okay? So there's tons of different ways of doing it. And the same principle applies to all stitch heights. So whether it's single or double, it doesn't matter. So when you're doing stacked singles for an edge, I'm going to do it on this side. So I'm going to do stacked singles for this row here. So I chained 1. I'm going to go through both of these loops right here. I'm going to draw that loop, yarn over, and go through 2. Since it's a double, I need to do that one more time. Chain, and I need to go through these 2 loops, draw the loop, yarn over, and go through 2. Okay, so you need to turn the right way because look at my edge, okay? Watch. So this is how my work looks. So that is the correct way. It's laying flat. Now, if I turn the wrong way, my edge looks like a candy cane. You can see how the twists go from the inside of the stitch here to the outside. That's letting you know that you turned your work the wrong way. Okay? So you need to make sure that you turn the work the correct way so that your edge remains on the outside. Okay? Hopefully that is of use to you guys. Hopefully that helps. All right? So, yeah. You're very, very welcome, Tasha. I'm glad that I was able to help in some way. But yeah, especially if you want stacked singles, okay? You do get a really nice straight edge with stacked singles. If you're not using stacked singles, I've shown you other ways you can use chains, tons of ways. And the great thing about crochet, everybody, is there is no right or wrong way of the concept. You know, you just have to make sure you execute it properly, but there is no right or wrong way to get to the end goal as long as you get there. Okay. You're welcome, Denise. I'm glad that that was of use. But yes, you want to make sure that your edge is nice and flat. And look at, I mean, it's super, super nice. My only suggestion is when you're coming back to the end of the row, you just have to remember, you see this little line here? You need to make sure to go into the stitch before the line. And that's where you end your row. So that's like, for me, that's the landmark. That's the bookmarker that says, okay, let's stop this row. This is where we stop. Okay. So the question does come up, when do we stop? How do we know when to continue going? That right there is the head of the stitch. Okay. So clean edges are very important when we are working. We love our edges unless it's intentional. So if you want that scalloped edge, I mean, let's get creative, right? So let's go ahead. I'm going to show you. You can create eyelets. Let's say you want to do fringe. You want to do fringe on your work, and you're going to need a place to put them. You can create eyelets. You can put eyelets in your work, and that would be intentionally for your fringe if that's what you want. And the way you do that is you want to exaggerate. You want to exaggerate your loops. So let's say I'm creating an eyelet. Let's chain, I don't know, 4. Let's chain 4. Why not? We're going to chain 4, and then we're going to go into this very first stitch. Now remember, if this is what you're doing, you need to be consistent with it. You're creating eyelets. So now you've created a place to put your fringe. But make sure that you're going in the first stitch each and every time, because you're not counting this as anything. That's literally there for a decoration. And, you know, if you're going to do it on this side, make sure you do it on the other side, or else it's going to look cattywampus. It's going to look like you made a huge mistake in your home ec class. Home ec project going wrong. And we don't want cattywampus projects, right? So let's chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's turn the work and go right into the first stitch. And again, if you're consistent with this, you're going to have straight edges each and every time. All right. And now you have a place to put your fringe. All right. Super, super excited to be able to share all this wonderful stuff with you guys. Little tips and tricks. Hopefully you guys had something that you were able to take away from today. I love helping you guys with these little tips and tricks. And again, if you have a request, if you want to learn how to do something, all you need to do is send an email to teamjtya@gmail.com. We're going to put it on the list and execute it on the Sunday Crochet with JTYA for you guys. And yeah, so this here is an example of what we're able to do for you guys. This was a request from a viewer, and I was super excited to be able to do that. And so here we are. All right. So with that, guys, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you so much for watching me today. I really appreciate each and every one of you guys. I want you to know that I'm going live this evening, as I have since 2023, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we have our usual Sunday live. So if you're interested and you want to come, feel free to hang out with us for a little while this evening. And so that is it from me for now. And until this evening, I shall see you guys on the next one. Okay? You guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much. Bye.